Right.
and I'm putting the truth out there, I should say, and just let people be the judge.
Thanks to my wife, I'm where I am. You said that about the first wife. You forget that? You told us it was her, then you went and married somebody else that think like a man. Like, what are you talking about? They think they can rewrite history.
Girl, when I tell y'all that Katt Williams is determined to take Steve Harvey down, I am not messing around. He has been going back and forth trying to disrespect him, calling him a thief in all sorts of names, and with all that has revealed about Steve, it kind of checks with whatever Steve's ex-wife Mary also exposed him. Now the Katt has been spilling the tea on Steve in the past couple of weeks, but he is now putting his back into a big time because he has married out here. Also, spilling the tea on Steve Mary has had beef with Steve for the longest time, and it looks like things are about to get worse. Here, let's break down this drama. Steve has been in the news since the year started because of Katt Williams and his revelations, and it doesn't look like things are going to get any better for him because his ex-wife, Mary Harvey, has declared support for Katt's now before y'all come at Mary, saying that she's a bitter ex or that she's purposely trying to start trouble for Steve. Well, I'm here to tell you that Mary has more than enough reason to be salty as Steve because he did her dirty big time, and he almost ruined her life. Plus, she was married to Steve during the time when he did the stuff that Katt accused him of doing so. She has first-hand knowledge of the things that Steve did for the refresher. Katt went to the Club Shay Shay podcast, and he accused Steve of a lot of very interesting things, like how he has been stealing ketchup jokes for years and then turning up years later to pass the jokes off.
The same Steve that went to go watch Mark Curry do his whole sitcom and then stole everything Mark Curry had. Now Steve got a sitcom where he the principal and he wear a suit and then he gets this high top fade, making all black men think he got the best lineup in the business, and it's a man unit. Then you ask it, why you not a movie star? I didn't want to be a movie star. This the same that hated on Bernie with this same thing. I didn't want to be a movie star. No, you couldn't be a movie star. There are 30,000 new scripts in Hollywood every year. Not one of them asks for a country bumpkin black dude that can't talk good, baby, and look like Mr. Potato Head. There ain't.
As his own Katt even claimed that Steve would pretend to attend his shows to support him, but in reality, he was just there to see how many of the Katt's jokes he could steal and get away with. But that wasn't all, because Katt also spilled about how Steve has been lying to fans for a long time, with his grasp of the Grace story. Now I know that Steve wasn't always rich, but that Steve took it a little too far with the story of how he was living in his car and sleeping in parking lots because he was too broke to afford a place to live.
I used to spend the night in hotel parking lots. What was I gonna do? I ain't had nowhere to stay, so I lived in the car. I had $35. And I said, come on, God, man, I've been trying to make this dream come true. You done left me out here like this.
This is a story that Steve has told more times than I can count because he just can't seem to stop talking about it. I get it. It's a motivational story, but the Katt called Steve is out for be singing on this, saying that Steve never had to live in his car.
Like Steve Harvey telling people he used to be homeless. That's my story. That's not his story. Steve Harvey wasn't never homeless. When Mark Curry was touring with him 25 years ago, he was making $3,000 a show in cash and doing 5 shows a week. They just tell the stories. Thanks to my wife, I'm where I am. You said that about the first wife. You forget that? You told us it was her, then you went and married somebody else that think like a man. Like, what are you talking about? They think they can rewrite history.
Well, guess what? Whatever the Katt said checks in with what Mary has been saying it for all the years, including Steve lying about living in a car when Mary met Steve in the 90s. He was a struggling comedian, but he pursued her strongly that she soon fell in love with him. But she wasn't after his money because, well, there was no goal to dig. She held him down through hard times, and she even gave him a key to her apartment in case he needed somewhere to crash between gigs. So the story of him living in his car, yeah, that doesn't make sense after a while. His comedic career started to take off because fans started to queue up to watch his performance, and the demand for him grew even stronger. At that point, Steve was more than content with where his career was, But Mary pushed him to achieve more when he started to get to a crazy level of popularity. She brought up the idea for him to start up his own club instead of performing at other clubs for just a cut of the fee so he would make more money for himself. But even though Steve was in high demand, he didn't have a lot of money because, again, he was only getting a cut of the fee at the clubs he was performing at. So he couldn't afford to open a comedy club because those things aren't cheap. But Mary was the ultimate lover girl, so she decided to pull her entire life savings to Steve at $250,000 of it, and she helped him to set up the comedy club. And it wasn't just money because she also poured her heart and soul into the club, helping him out with the interior's design, and all that things soon took off for Steve. Time, and he started making some serious money, which was also when he started to cheat on her heavily with a lot of women. And allegedly, his current wife, Marjorie, was one of those women.
When I think about how quickly he moved forward from me to Marjorie, that was just.
And he finally divorced Mary. And he moved on with Marjorie, but he did marry was dirty in the divorce they got into. A crazy legal battle, especially over custody of their son. Winon, who was a minor at the time. Mary claimed that Steve was aggressive toward him, and she claimed that the divorce left her ruined because she lost everything, including her business and her cars, and she even got evicted from the home that shared with Steve in the divorce. Even more, Steve never paid her for the divorce settlement money that he was ordered to by the court.
The emails and the text messages and the different things that were that I was finding out about. I thought the least that he could do, make me whole at the end of it. He left. He just left, walked out the door. Once he realized that I was going to divorce him, he walked out the door. He had a shoulder bag. He walked out. Went right to New York, to our apartment that we had there, which I never got to see, by the way, and then she joined him there.
Apart from being broke, she also claimed that Steve allegedly put his hands on their son. Winon often left him with bruises. According to TMZ, according to the kids, Steve hit him with a belt and then a paddleboard, the kind used for hazing in fraternities. According to the police report, cops took photos of the boy's injuries, showing on his buttocks and right thigh as well as cuts on his leg. The police report says the boy told cops that it was so brutal. He had trouble urinating for days. CPS opened an investigation into him, but they dropped it because apparently there was no evidence that Steve meant harm to the boy. Mary then tried to sue for custody of Winon, but again, she was broke and couldn't afford lawyers. Steve then hit her with a custody lawsuit, and with his fancy lawyers, he was able to get custody of the boy. According to Mary, Steve then alienated her son from her. She claimed that he refused to let her speak to her son, see him, and even worse, he badmouthed her to her son and fed him so much negativity about her that her son started to hate her. So not only did Steve leave her broke, he also stole her son from her after she helped him build his career brick by brick and poured her entire life savings into his career. So yeah, if there's one person who has all the smoke for Steve, it's Mary, and that's why she is now backing the cat up and slamming Steve. Yeah, it looks like Steve might be on his way down because of this drama. Is not about to end anytime soon. Let me know how y'all feel about this in the comments. Then check out this next video.